Often people get caught into charging by the hour or selling their time just because that's what everyone in their industry does.
I'm an engineer with a small team, but I'm still fundamentally just selling my time. What do I do about that to scale my business?
Selling time is anti-entrepreneurial. If you're selling your time, well, first of all, that's building in a limitation in the sense that there are only so many hours a day. So if you're charging by the hour, there's an upside limit. And the only way you can scale that is by adding more people, and then their time is expensive. So you end up growing a not profitable business. The second thing is charging by the hour especially creates a conflict of interest. If you're charging by the hour, the longer it takes you to deliver a project, the better for you, the worse for the client. The shorter it takes you to deliver a project, the worse for you, the better the client. It's also anti-innovation. There's no point you working out how to deliver 10 hours of work in an hour, because you'd go from making all this money to making a tenth of that and delivering the same outcome. So for all these reasons and more, we really need to just break this idea. And often people get caught into charging by the hour or selling their time just because that's what everyone in their industry does. But I think it was Mark Twain that said, when you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. Trust me, in my experience, the vast majority don't know what they're doing, so don't follow them. In terms of my Irishman story, a buddy of mine was a lawyer in Ireland, and he came to Australia to be a lawyer. And he didn't quite realize, this was for love, of course, didn't quite realize that none of his qualifications transferred. He thought he could do 3 months of makeup work and get all of his Australian quals. It turned out he would have to go through all of law school again, and that wasn't ever going to happen. But he loved the profession, so he started a law firm. Here's the thing. The most he ever made in Ireland was about $250,000 a year. The least that he ever made in Australia was about $2.5 million a year. Because he couldn't be the lawyer, he couldn't be the technician, he couldn't be the specialist, he needed to become the key person of influence, and he needed to hire lawyers to actually do the work. And so if you're an engineer, you've got to recognize that you've got potentially decades of specialized skills, and that's going to provide you with a bias to doing the work. There's a huge difference, though, between being an expert or a specialist and being a key person of influence. If you think of someone like Steve Jobs, right? He didn't learn how to code artificial intelligence by himself. He didn't learn industrial design. He understood enough about those things to be able to bring the team together to create a lot of magic. His role was to communicate the vision, the values, the value proposition, to steer the brand from within which everything happened. So whenever I come across someone with a small team that's like an engineer or a doctor or some kind of deep specialized knowledge, the first thing to realize is that there's another role. There's another position on your org chart, which is not you as the specialist, which is not you as the technical person delivering the value. It's stepping up a level and building a brand, a mission, a purpose. And the entrepreneur's bet says that you can make more money in that role playing your strengths than it costs to delegate everything else. And in your case, that might be hiring more engineers or more specialists. You're out building the brand, they're in doing the work. And from that moment, you escape the time trap. It doesn't mean that you can't sell your team's time. That's okay. We just got to get you as the founder out of the time trap.